What's going on? Hey, how we doing? Happy Tuesday and welcome on into the Ryan Ripken Show. We are live at 5 here Monday through Friday now. And okay, Ollie, can you hear the squeaky toy?
I just
Did
heard
you hear
that one.
That one was loud. All right.
Yeah, you got a little ambitious there.
Of all the balls that he could have gotten, he went with the squeakiest of them all here. Well, you know what? This is loud, but you know what's actually getting loud in the baseball world is potential trades, potential free agent moves here. So we're going to talk about what we're hearing on the trade market, on what possibilities could or could not be. Jeff Passan put out a report. The free agent signing then. We saw last week that Ryan Helsley signed with the Orioles, and we wondered who would be the next domino in the closing realm. Well, stop traffic. Devin Williams is going from one New York team to the other. We'll explain all of that in the contract deals. And then to kind of wrap up the show, just in the sports sense, as we talk all the things here, sports, specifically baseball and football. But the Steelers are still in trouble. And there's just that chaos around college football where it just, if you love chaos and you love the stress of college football and the commotion that's happening with coaching moves, well, then you're going to want to hear what's going on in the next saga with Ole Miss here as they get ready for their college football playoff run, which they will be in the playoff here in the next few weeks. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Bali, howdy.
How's it going? It's good to I feel like the stove obviously next week is going to be just when all burners are a go. You know, every burner, the oven, everything on the stove is going to be cooking next week. But it feels like this year we might see a few big dominoes, continue to fall, especially in the reliever market. I don't think teams after Helsley, after Devin Williams, I don't think teams are going to wait. I don't think teams feel like they can afford to wait until the winter meetings next week. So maybe this is just the beginning of a very, at least reliever market heavy week move-wise in Major League Baseball. It's been fun.
It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. We're going to deep dive into that. Ollie, buddy, see, here's the deal. We're on the air right now, okay? And Ollie is my dog for those that are tuning in. No, not that one. No, get the other one. So you thought you wouldn't get this action here. This is double the fun. No, you're going to let that go. But also, this is fun, too. Before we get into our first topic, shout out Merit Clubs, by the way. Partners with us. Appreciate them. They're still doing their cyber deal. It extended past Monday. You can sign up for Merit Clubs for just $1 for the rest of the year. It's a pretty damn good deal. Went from $20.25 down to $1 for this Cyber Monday Plus deal. So, Zach, how do you spell $1?
MERRITT.
And when I move, you move.
Just like that.
And just like that, we're going to move into our first topic and appreciate our friends over at Merit Clubs. Zach, I think we got to talk about Devin Williams.
Yeah.
And the reports out there that Devin Williams signed a 3-year deal with the New York Mets, going from the Bronx over to the National League side. I guess in some people's minds, the Mets are still the baby brother of the New York Yankees. But this is also then a trend here of Yankees becoming Mets over the last couple of years. Juan Soto, Clay Holmes, now add Devin Williams to the mix. 3-year deal. $51 million is the report that I'm seeing here, Zach. So if we're going to pull out our calculators here, that's $17 million a year. And just a couple days ago, we talked about, actually yesterday, not even a couple days ago, talked about how I thought the price tag was only going to go up, and I was curious of where Devin Williams would fall, like how people viewed him, Zach. Well, clearly the Mets are viewing him as still a pretty high-end reliever, which I do expect. But also what I expected was that this closer market is only going to rise. And with Devin Williams getting 17, it makes you feel that the next guys in line are going to eclipse that mark.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't think it is crazy at all to say that Edwin Diaz, I would say Robert Suarez probably gets in that 19 to 20 now range per year, depending also on the years. I mean, maybe they take a 2-year deal worth, $23 million a year, something, depends on the years. But I do think that Edwin Diaz, I mean, talk about beneficiary of this, because that guy's going to be commanding 22, 23 million now. I think he is that elite of a closer. And Helsley gets 14. We kind of see Devin Williams get 17, probably Suarez in that 19 to 20, and then Edwin Diaz probably in that 21 to 23 million per year. The reliever market, I mean, we had a feeling that once the first domino fell, that it was going to just unleash chaos. Devin Williams off the board. Still some really good relievers out there and intrigued. I mean, the Mets have said that they are not done. They are still intrigued and interested in bringing in Edwin Diaz or bringing back Edwin Diaz. So it's going to be interesting and very intriguing to see how that plays out, because if you get Edwin Diaz, I mean, you add Devin Williams as your setup man. They apparently said that he is comfortable as the setup man back in Queens. So, I mean, the Mets, don't ever say the Mets aren't willing to spend. That's for sure. They might not always win on the field, but they are going to spend. And another year of that where I don't know if the Yankees had any interest or what the talks were like with bringing back Devin Williams, but like you kind of brought up, another year where a Yankee that was a big contributor in New York is now staying in New York, but with another team.
Yes, he is. And I find it interesting that the Mets, obviously, I knew that a team was going to value him highly, because I'm still buying the bounce back for Devin Williams. He has been elite over the years, and he didn't have a good overall year in New York. However, he had his moments, and down the stretch, he pitched better. And he did have a month of June, Zach, where he was dynamite. He had a .93 ERA during that time frame. He had a 3.72 for the regular season in September down the stretch. And then in the postseason for the Yankees, he had a 0 ERA in 4 innings. So I'm buying that he's going to be good. But I think the part here that's important, and he actually probably learned a lot in this process, was once he got relegated from the closer role, he had to get comfortable of being the setup guy again. And I thought that was, in this case, that allowed him more flexibility. I still think he can be the closer, but it makes you think, if they could get Diaz back, how much better the Mets back end would be, and especially with a guy like Devin that's comfortable. But I think the bigger storyline here is that I don't know if we were expecting, at least in my mind, I heard some other people throw out, I thought he'd get towards 20. I was shocked that if he would get towards 20, because it's always timing of when you struggle. Yeah. But 17 mil, that's a hefty investment for a guy that you want to feel that can be at the best, that he can be your closer, but you want him to be able to be versatile. And I think that's the interesting part here with it. And just like, what is Suarez and Diaz going to go for, Zach? Like that, yeah. I think they're at least 20 mil a year.
Yeah.
And here's the one part I wanted to tell people here. I'm going to take Devin Williams off the screen, because Zach, I want to talk to the people here for a second. Hey, now come. Time out. Hey, come closer.
I hate.
You don't like that? Here we go. Do it one more time. Hey, Zach, come closer. This free agent market of closing pitchers, if you had told me of any of the options, Fairbanks, Helsley, Williams, Diaz, Suarez, or insert your favorite closer option here, any of those names would end up being the best closer in 2026 of that collective group, I would believe you. There's not one guy that I would think is going to come out of this and be the front runner to be the best closer out of this. Like Ryan Helsley, the Orioles signed for $14 million a year. Yeah. And Ryan Helsley might end up being the best of the bunch, but so could Pete Fairbanks. So could Devin Williams. And I really do think if you're an Orioles fan here on that side, you got a really solid closing option here on paper, and I still believe the talent before this market's going to go up, because I do believe the overpay is going to only be higher, and I think the value of the guys could be very comparable. And I think that's an important piece to note here. That's very fascinating to me. But if you love a guy, you're going to overpay for a guy, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, if Devin Williams would have signed this exact same contract a week ago, I think Helsley probably gets 16, 17 million. I think that's probably he gets in that range. But Orioles struck first, and that was kind of what we talked about, where you want to be that first team because price of a brick only go up, and that's where we're at. I mean, Diaz, we kind of always thought he would be around that 20, but I thought Robert Suarez was going to fall into that 17 million-ish projection, 16, 17, maybe 18. Now this makes it look like he could get 20, 21. So all about value. I do think I am buying Devin Williams bounce back. Like you said, he had the nice stretch in New York, but this was a guy that was seen as like the dominant closer for a while, especially in Milwaukee. So it's one of those signings where maybe as the offseason goes on, it kind of gets forgotten about. But I do think, especially if they get Edwin Diaz back, that end of the Mets bullpen is looking really good coming into next year. If they can figure out the offense, obviously adding Simeon. Hey, I think the Mets, they were really good before the collapse. To have that type of collapse, you have to be very far ahead. So if they can just get rid of the collapse part, it's a team that can make noise. But I will say it is hilarious that Devin Williams, the guy that the Yankees finally lifted their facial hair policy for after I think it's like 49 years, him being the guy that then after 1 year is like, yeah, I'm going to go to the Mets. I'll see you guys, is pretty funny.
Yeah, so maybe the Yankees, maybe they're going to go back and change the policy.
Would be hilarious.
They're changing their philosophies, right? They don't like to spend. They don't make for profit.
Yeah. Do you want rings and no facial hair, or facial hair, no rings? And that's what they decided.
Unpopular opinion. I did like the fact that the Yankees were like, yeah, no, that's our style. But
I think it became a part of them.
I did. It no doubt became a part of them. Like the Red Sox literally said, we're going to be the opposite of the Yankees. I love that. Like, hey, we're going to be rugged. I mean, if you play for the Yankees, though, hey, we're going to be clean shaven. Right now, like, this don't fly.
Yeah, you can only have mustaches.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, you know what? That should motivate you to create a mustache. Like, increase your value. Some would say you have a good mustache, you can get another $5 million on the market.
Yeah.
And by some sources, it's like those memes, those meme pages online that say studies have suggested you're a superhuman if you sleep for 3 hours. One of those. There's a lot more ones. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yep. But what is interesting is how this market will evolve. I do believe we're going to see these relievers move, the big ones, but there's so many out there after for the secondary market. And that's really where the true value is going to come. But I'm curious what happens with some of these top guys.
I mean, are you at all concerned if, let's just say from once again, I don't know, and we might not ever know if the Yankees were in on him. But have we ever seen this many important Yankees players go just across town this, quickly? It feels like they're just so, man, it's not like, oh, they're grabbing the bench bat or they're grabbing, this was at one point, the Yankees, they relied on Devin Williams. They made the move to get Devin Williams. They gave up people to get Devin Williams. Obviously Juan Soto, it came down to the Mets or the Yankees. He chooses the Mets. And it just keeps coming back to that, for me at least, that quote from Juan Soto being like, this is the place I felt like actually I could actually win, and is committed to winning. Gotta hurt to hear for your Yankees fan, but it's just intriguing that we've seen this. Usually, I felt like you never saw that, a Yankee going over to Queens. It's like if the Yankees wanted you back, you were staying there. Just very intriguing. I do know Yankee fans are a little up in arms about like, hey, why is everyone going to the Mets?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I mean, as much as people want to hate on the Yanks, they're still the Yankees. And
Oh, without a doubt.
until the Mets win and win consistently, we're getting on the Yankees for not winning a World Series title since 2009, which is true. They haven't. They have consistently, though, been in the hunt over the years. They have been playing for division titles and for the AL pennant, but they haven't gotten over the hump. The Mets, they're trying to say, hey, we're willing to have all the resources, and time will tell if the Mets, with their resources and the talent that they bring in, can they get over the hump? And you'll be curious. They're spending in free agency. The next thing you'll be wondering is, will they, just like many other teams, test the trade market, Zach? Because that's where a lot of other teams and a lot of great players are still available, even if they're not looked at as available. There's always a price. Now, if it happens, that's to be determined. But this is another element of the offseason here that we're looking at for teams. So, Zach, Jeff Passan, I believe, kind of brought this point to fruition, and we were going to talk about the trade market regardless, but he dropped a list of players specifically that could be available as the rest of this offseason continues on, as we push towards spring training here in just a few months.
Yeah, so kind of like they did right before the trade deadline where we went over the list then. Jeff Passan and Kylie McDaniel had another article just kind of going over 25 potential trade candidates in this. It gives some potential fits. It gives the percentage that they believe, percent that they're likely to be traded. Goes through all of that. Spoiler alert, there are 11 pitchers in here, 10 of which are likely fits for the Baltimore Orioles. Actually, funny enough, the one that didn't, I'm intrigued to see your reaction to, because it's been a guy you've wanted. So let's just kind of start by going through the list. Derek Chuba, I don't see him in Baltimore. I mean, they're listed as a potential fit, but I just don't.
How about this? How about nowhere?
Yeah, like I just
nowhere.
Don't. And that's the thing, they put him as a predicted chance at 10%. It is funny, though, seeing Mets, Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, Giants, and Orioles in that mix. Appreciate them including us. Ketel Marte, don't see the Orioles going for him. We're going to stick to mostly pitchers. Here's a guy we've talked about on the trade market that maybe makes sense in Baltimore, Freddie Peralta. I've been saying this for the past 6 months at this point. It is an identical situation in the Corbin Burns trade where the Orioles get a rental because I don't think the Orioles would sign Peralta long-term. Brewers aren't signing him long-term. You just kind of do that. Hey, we'll give you some prospects. We're going to try to go for it this year. Yada, yada, yada. This is a guy that I actually think there is maybe a chance he would end up in Baltimore if he is traded.
I mean, the options for a lot of teams, and I know you keep saying Baltimore because I know we have a big Baltimore fan base, but this is a guy that a lot of teams are going to be pitch needy. This is a way of means that they would look at. And Ollie, I swear, with this ball,
I didn't hear it that time.
Good. Well,
I haven't heard it since the first time.
Oh, perfect. Well, we're going to throw that ball in the harbor. But at the moment here, a lot of teams would pick up the phone and call because you're looking at the deal and how it's looking so far, right? And overall, Freddie Peralta, with his pedigree, you know what you're getting with him. That has the value. And the Brewers have that model. That's why they make the most sense of teams. Like the first two options, the Marte, I think, would have to have a deal that blows the Diamondbacks away. I don't see it. Skubal, doesn't make any sense for the Tigers. You are not closer to winning a World Series by getting rid of him, but you are very close from adding some other pieces with Skubal to go and win this next year and at least represent the American League. You're there. You're right there. Peralta, because the Brewers flip guys and they maneuver because they're kind of like the Rays of the National League, this is going to be a very interesting name to watch. I know the Brewers are saying, "Oh, we're probably not going to." They would 1,000% that they would, because of the arms that they have and because of what their track record has been. And I mean, all the fits right there. Every one of those teams should call the Milwaukee.
I was honestly shocked that the Red Sox weren't on this list. I still think the Red Sox, I know they made the trade for Sonny Gray, but it just feels like they're being so aggressive this year. They have a log jam of outfielders. They have to make decisions on them. I could see that being a trade. You know, maybe it's Willie Abreu or Jarren Duran to Milwaukee for a Peralta, or they're adding someone else, or maybe there's some other guys thrown in there. But Boston still seems like a fit. A little less after the Sonny Gray, because I don't know if they trade for 2 starters. But I was expecting to see Boston on this. I feel like that is a team where this would fit, and predicted chance of getting traded 25%.
Yeah, I mean, once again, the Brewers are in the driver's seat with this move. They have to be blown away. But if you're any team that's needy of pitching, you call Milwaukee. You got to pick. Hey, it's free to pick this up. I don't know if there's certain cell services or coverage that could cost money, but hypothetically speaking, it is still free. Pick up the phone and be like, hey, Milwaukee, what are we thinking price tag? Oh, that's too high. Okay. Well, actually, you're willing to? Great. Here's this player that's offered. Whammy. And that's how it's done. So really curious to see how it all goes. That's that. What else is on this list here, Zach?
Yeah. So next up, we have Hunter Green from the Cincinnati Reds. 10% chance of being traded. Padres, Giants, Orioles, Mets, Athletics, Diamondbacks. Athletics would be an interesting one. That intrigues me. But Hunter Green, we've talked pretty extensively about him. As much as I get that he's being quote unquote shopped, and I wouldn't call it shopped. They're listening. If someone calls, they're picking up the phone. This would have to be such an enormous trade. I mean, you get him for 4 years, $60 million. That's such a steal in today's market. It's unreal. I find it hard to believe at this point, unless something changes, that the Reds, or they're just absolutely blown away by an uncomfortable offer. I find it very hard that the Reds trade Hunter Green.
Once again, are you a better team? And not just are you a better team, do you believe you can go to the playoffs? The answer is yes. You just did this past year with this Reds core that you have. Do you think you actually will have a better chance by trading away Hunter Green in the immediate future? No. They have a staff. They have arms. I think you bolster your offense and you keep one of the best options in all of baseball and one of the best deals in all of baseball. You've earned that right with your guy. I would say Hunter Green for me would be on the same level of trying to trade Skubal, because it has to be something so damn good that it makes sense. So in this case, I'm done with that. Makes no sense. I would be shocked if Green and Skubal are traded. Would not be shocked at Peralta. That's where I'm at in this conversation.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I feel like the biggest reasoning is kind of what it says in the first line. They have Abbott, Lodolo, Chase Burns, Singer, and Lauder. So they're saying, hey, they got it. They got enough. You can trade Green. I just don't know if trading your young ace is the best way to build a staff, even if you do have a young staff with a lot of potential. I mean, Hunter Green is Hunter Green. Moving on, though, Byron Buxton. We'll maybe do position players another time. But Joe Ryan, another guy we've talked pretty extensively about, predicted or fits is Red Sox, Mets, Orioles, Rangers, Giants, Astros, actually given a 50% chance at being traded. This one, we're starting to get to guys that I think it's a lot more realistic get moved.
And this move here, you mentioned Byron Buxton. I know we're talking a lot of pitchers.
Yeah.
This move right here, if Joe Ryan gets traded, Byron Buxton, I think will get traded. Because Buxton's even saying out there, hey, I would change my tune of a no trade clause if you're just going to continue to move people away. Like if we're not building this foundation up and you're trading away some of our main guys, like, yeah, you know what? Hey, I appreciate it. I know he said I'm walking into this clubhouse. Well, Byron also can love knowing that he has the choice of what he wants to do. If I were him and the situation, he would move if Joe Ryan moves. And to clarify with that, Byron can choose where he wants to go. Okay. Byron can waive his no trade clause to where he would like to go. Now, for Joe Ryan, that's not the case. And Joe Ryan, the Twins are going to go to the team that gives the best deal. And when we're looking at this free agent market again, Zach, behind Framber Valdez as far as being reliable, and I know there's still the question marks of how people felt, how things ended last year with him. Joe Ryan would be the second best pitcher on this market. You could argue he would be the top. That's the upside of where he is. That's how I think people value him if he were a free agent, but he's not. And the value of him having team control is extremely intriguing. So like the Freddie Peralta, you're going to have to really sweeten a deal here for Minnesota. But this is where some of these teams that have these young pitching prospects and young talented players that maybe are a year away or two from being great. This is where this makes sense. And since we are based out of the Baltimore area, he would fit the profile. Why? Well, the Orioles have a lot of young pitchers that would definitely help the Twins in the future. And they also have some young position players that could also fit that bill. So I think that that's very intriguing. I would, if anything, Zach, this is the name people need to watch.
Yeah.
This is the one you need to watch.
Yeah. And I completely agree. And actually we can kind of throw in the next guy as well here, because it's the same thing. Pablo Lopez is very similar. He is given a 50% chance. And I'm going to be honest, the reason I think it's a 50% chance for both of those guys is because I think it's 100% chance that one of them is traded. It's just which one. So for me, these guys are kind of, I don't want to say interchangeable. They're different pitchers, but one of them gets moved, both with number 2, kind of a solid number 2 option. They would slide into the number 3, I believe, behind Bradish and Rogers in Baltimore specifically. But these are guys that, especially Lopez, it's the model of consistency. It's, what you're going to get from him. You know that he is going to go out there, and when he's on the mound, he is going to give you a very, very good outing. He is going to give you a chance to win. So both these guys, Joe Ryan, Pablo Lopez, I think any contender would be smart to go after them. I think probably Lopez, you get it might cost you a little less just because I think people are all in on the Joe Ryan upside. I think that's kind of taken over the buzz. But, I mean, both these pitchers, Minnesota's got a very – I know, obviously Byron Buxton saying, if they continue to blow it up, I'd be okay with being gone as well. I think the Twins have enough pieces right now to, if they really wanted to blow this up, they could set themselves up for a nice future. But the issue is I think they're going to play this half in, half out game. And they're going to trade one of them. Personally, if I'm the Twins, I'm trading both. I'm trading, all three. I'm trading Buxton. I'm trading Joe Ryan. I'm trading Pablo Lopez. And I'm trying to say, hey, 26 ain't our year. 27 ain't our year. we're going to go for it in 28, 29. That's when we're going to kind of put this thing back together. It just feels like these are two guys that you can get a lot out of. And really, I don't see any of their values going up. I think they both really, the only thing that could happen is an injury. They have a bad season and the value goes down. I think they still have a lot of talent that they can get a pretty penny for or a pretty prospect for. So personally, it feels like, especially, speaking Baltimore specific, Minnesota and Baltimore should be on the phone every day talking like, hey, what's this looking like? Because I think these are two guys that any team, we'll go through the fits real fast. Mets, Orioles, Giants, Astros, Padres. Padres, I just think, are in this weird, like, we're not going to spend. We're trying to figure out our own crap type of situation. Yeah. Astros could definitely see. Giants, always a viable option. I feel like they, especially with rumors kind of coming out that they might not be offering any pitchers or any free agents. What would that be? 9 figures? Not going over 100 million. So I think personally, Giants make sense, obviously, than the Mets and Orioles, but Pablo Lopez, Joe Ryan, and really just anyone on the Twins, I think those are guys you got to look at because I think there is a good chance of them getting moved.
The other part here, when you're looking at the fits, the Mets, with this of getting a frontline guy, it's intriguing, but the Mets have they have some young stud pitchers that are just breaking in that I wouldn't move if I were them. I would let those guys develop it. You've earned that right. Nolan McClain being one of those guys. I ain't moving him.
Former Oriole.
Right? Well, and that was, to be fair, the Orioles couldn't sign him.
Yeah, almost.
Couldn't sign him. But the part there is Mets, I think I think they'd be more inclined to sign a guy than to trade one of those guys because that's what it would cost. Now, the Giants here, it's interesting because they want to be aggressive. They're trying to get back into this and trying to compete in the National League West, which I'll be honest, after this year, I still believe San Diego and the Padres are going to compete. They play well at home, even if they don't change anything. I still think they're going to be competitive. But it doesn't mean the Giants right now, to me, could be the second best team in the National League West. So you can see the moves that are happening. The one thing the Twins are going to have to think of, Zach, is you mentioned about the value of the player. When is the value going to be at the highest and when could it drop? Right now, you can argue it would be at the highest or one of the highest. And the reason why I say one of the highest is that the price could go up at the trade deadline this next year. You hold on, you say, you know what? We're going to stand pat. The deal wasn't good enough yet. And then the team's going to be desperate at the deadline when the Twins aren't in it and go, you know what? We're in. We're pushing the chips in and you get a bigger return because you saw that this past year. I mean, even look at all the prospects. We're talking about the Orioles that they got back from the Padres for a club option in Ramon Laureano and a expiring contract in Ryan O'Hearn. So teams, and I love those guys, by the way, but the value that these pitchers would possess, Lopez and Joe Ryan, the Twins have to feel like it's worth, and if not, they'll hold it. And I think that's the only thing. And the only part that you make the move is if you're satisfied with the package. And the Twins don't have to be in a rush right now. So that's one thing, at least in this. They got to be convicted with the move. And we saw last year the Red Sox convinced the White Sox to move Crochet. Yeah. Hey, we wanted a catcher. We got a catching prospect. We got some other pieces. Bam. Okay, Crochet's yours.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to meet those demands early. And that's something I want to watch for.
Yeah, and I agree. I think the Twins, they make a move, but it's going to be on their terms. They're not just going to make a move to make a move. They're not just going to say, hey, we're blowing this up just to blow it up. They, at least if they're smart, would get the best offer they possibly can. I agree. I think the only way this goes up is if, it's the trade deadline. So moving to our next one, we've also talked about him as well. Mackenzie Gore, 30% chance of getting traded. They're saying Yankees, Orioles, Rangers, Giants, Diamondbacks. Interesting mix there. But Mackenzie Gore, another guy where the Nationals have to make a decision. Yes, he is an up-and-coming potential star, front line 2, maybe, can pitch to a 1. You're buying potential, but you're also buying that he has been dominant over stretches of his career. This is a move I'm just not sure if the Nationals would have to be blown away in my mind to get rid of Mackenzie Gore. I don't think he's a guy that you just trade to trade.
I think he's a foundational piece for a team's future.
Yeah.
We talked about with Peralta, Ryan, Lopez, those are established guys. And with that comes a high price tag. Gore is this upside that the best is yet to come for him. And so that's something that you really got to evaluate. And I'm one of those believers. I think the best is yet to come from Mackenzie Gore. He's going to have to figure out what is going to make him more successful at the big league level. And especially if you're reading this and it says Gore throws at least 80% fastball sliders to lefties, at least 80% fastball curveballs to righties. The sequence for me isn't as important. Honestly, the bigger thing of importance for me is for him locating, setting up, and being consistent with that, because he's proven he can dominate lineups with his fastball and his off-speed pitch. He can get swing and miss and get outs. The problem that happens with him, Zach, is that consistency factor. It's either he gets erratic with his control or he makes a mistake pitch, which is very hittable here. So in that case, that's where the Mackenzie Gore, if teams are worried, that's the worry. So maybe you can try to pry. But if you're buying the really good that you've seen, and I think the Nats recognize that too. I think they'd be foolish to sit there and think, hey, Gore's not our guy. We didn't draft him. We didn't even trade for him. This new front office, let's move on because let's cash out. No,
the only way you do it is if you get a haul that you feel like is like the Juan Soto haul, where it's like, okay, which was ironically enough how they got Mackenzie Gore, which you look at and go, okay, there are 2 to 3 pieces that we think have a chance to be a very good ball players that can help fill out the foundation. That's the only way you make a trade if you're the Nationals. This isn't just a guy that you're like, oh, he's a good player. We're trying to rebuild. Let's trade him and just hope that, something sticks. You have to get, I would say, pretty blown away from by an offer, because there is the stuff like you said of like, we didn't draft him, all of that. It just, kind of what you alluded to. You don't just cash out on a guy who's your number one, just because you're like, oh, we're not going to be competing this year for a title, so let's just get rid of our good players. This is a guy that, hey, I would, if I'm the Nationals, I'm trying to extend him before I'm trying to trade him. Get him convinced of, hey, you're a National for the next 6-7 years, and let's make you a foundational piece for not only just right now, but for the future with James Wood, Dylan Cruz, all of them, and kind of really solidify this as the core instead of being like, okay, you could be a very big part of the core, but we're going to take a chance that we get 1 or 2 other guys. It's like would you rather have Mackenzie Gore, who's the frontline starter that can be a part of your core, or do you trade him for a mystery box of prospects that could be anything? And if it works out, they can be Mackenzie Gore. That's where I'm weighing, especially with his situation, age, all of that. I think they got it. They should keep him. From a national standpoint, if I'm building the team, I'm trying to offer him an extension. Now, if he tells you, hey, screw off, I don't want to be extended here, then it starts time to talk about a serious trade potential if he's not going to be there in 3 years. But man, that Juan Soto deal was such a big win. I just keep that foundation there. Just keep that there.
So the point you just said right there about foundation, when we talked about teams that are maybe trying to rebuild or retool, and we just mentioned the Twins and the Nats are not in the same position, in my opinion.
No.
The Nats actually, in a lot of people's minds, thought that they were going to take a step forward this past year, and they didn't. But it's not because they aren't close. They are. If they spent a little bit more or identified a little bit of what their specific needs should be with that young core, if they take a step, they're on that same trajectory of a young, talented team that's upcoming. And that, like, you can look down at what the Marlins did this past year, Zach, unexpected, is what the Nationals were supposed to do, but do it better. The Nats were supposed to be a sneaky playoff team this year. They were like dark horse, right? I'm not saying they are a playoff caliber, but they were supposed to be a contender to make a playoff push, and they regressed there. But it's not because of that they don't have young pieces. James Wood, in my opinion, is going to be a top 5 hitter in the game over the next year or two. I firmly believe that. CJ Abrams has upside. He's got to continue to mature as a player, but he has tremendous upside on the field. And I mean, like, not off the field. We know is that incident with
no, I was laughing about it because I'm just spoiler alert. I think CJ Abrams is the next guy on this list.
Of course he is. Well, we ain't going to talk about him. Like, here's the thing: you trade those guys.
Why? That's the point. Why would you trade them?
If you trade those guys, you're saying you're breaking this down, and you are committing to another rebuild. In my opinion, I don't think you're that far off. But they got to make that decision.
It gives me vibes of like after 2022, if the Orioles would have been like, yeah, let's get rid of some of these guys. Hey, Kyle Bradish, people are saying he takes the next step. Now let's get rid of him. Adley, Gunnar, it's like you're finally starting to see these guys start to put it together. Why would you break it up? It's not like these guys are 29 years old and you're like, I just don't know if they'll be in their prime the next time we're competing. These guys they're going to be hitting their prime when you should be competing in 2 years. So I agree. If I'm the Nationals, I keep Mackenzie Gore. Actually, Stephen Kwan was here. Brendan Donovan, interesting. There he is. CJ Abrams, Willie Abreu. Here's one that's interesting. Chris Booth. 30% chance Mets, Orioles, Rangers, Giants, Diamondbacks, Padres, Angels. And yes, I've seen a lot of people talking in the comments. Alek Manoah did just sign with the Angels 1 year, $1.95 million. So don't ever think he was coming to Baltimore or anything, but he's going out there. But this is an interesting one because this is not a guy that I think would jump off the page to everyone. Is like, oh, that's the guy to go for. But you want to talk about a guy who had a really good 2025. This is a guy that I don't know what it would cost. I don't know any of that, but this would be an interesting deal for a team because I think another guy where I'm like, I'll look up his contract just to see if I'm missing anything, but I just don't see why it would make sense. I guess at least from the look of it, free agent after next year. So maybe that's why free agent in 27. The AL Central is so wide open in my mind. Yeah.
And I shouldn't say so wide open. The Tigers, in my mind, should probably still be the favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the one where the Royals were that team that was supposed to take the leap and they didn't. They still have a nucleus that's really good there. They have a good staff. I go with the same theory. This doesn't make sense to me for the Royals to trade. Like, talk about shocks. I would be shocked if they moved him. I just don't see what you're trying to accomplish then if that's the case. I know you're saying, oh, you're moving off. No, if it's not working out this year, then you trade him at the deadline. But if not,
this one makes
you're right with that guy. I would the getting traded percent. And again, if I'm wrong, cool, great, love it. I think that this is almost at the level of Scooble and
Green.
Hunter Green, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
I just would be so shocked unless, again, the Royals were sitting there going, whoa, like you really want this guy that bad? Deal. They need that pitching. And then they need some help on offense.
Yeah, I mean,
Lugo, Reagan's,
yeah.
And they extended Reagan or Lugo when people thought they were going to move him. It don't make sense to me on that one.
Yeah. Only 30 innings in 2024, but a 2.67 ERA across. Actually, that was out of the bullpen. No games started. Becomes a starter, 20 starts in 2025, 116 and a third innings pitched with a 2.55 ERA. 27 years old. Like you said, the Royals are trying to take that step. This, unless you're getting major league ready guys, like the only way this makes sense to me is if you feel comfortable with the rest of your rotation or you sign a guy and then you use Bubic to go get a guy to play out, a difference maker in your lineup. Kind of what they did, but it didn't even really work out last year when they sent Brady Singer for Jonathan India. Like it would have to, but kind of worked out more for the Reds. I don't see them doing that again. I just don't.
Hey, you know what, Zach? Is this a scroll app for you right here?
This a scroll?
Is this scroll or is it a screenshot?
This is the actual website.
Okay. Just hold on here. Come closer. Come here.
Oh my gosh.
That would be so dumb in my mind to
trade him. Yeah.
To trade him. Well, back up for a second. Okay. Hey, you hear me? We'll come closer.
Oh my God.
The Royals, I like the Royals makeup. Get another bat with that pitching staff that they have. I like Kansas City to bounce back, but Bubic has to be in this position. Has to be in the equation, in my opinion. Also, faced him in the minors. I actually didn't mind facing him, but then he got way better than me. And the reason why is that he's so deceptive as a lefty. And I think what he ended up doing was changing a little bit of his angle where it was really hard to pick up his fastball even more. Before the slider, it actually felt like I could see it. But then when he made the adjustment, I'm like, damn, that heater feels like it just gets on you. And then it made the other secondary pitches good. So, it's I would even factor with their starting rotation. Reagan's bounced back overall. Yeah. Bubic, you have Seth Lugo. I would think that a bat for the Royals, and if we want to talk about even like in their bullpen, I just think of bullpen arms, you can never have enough high leverage guys. Like that, I just think that that's always good. But the Pasquatch and Bobby Witt Jr., go get another bat with that group, with that starting staff. Yeah, I would take the Royals to bounce back and win this division if they add a couple pieces.
Yeah, I mean, even Noah Cameron in 24 games started, 138 innings, had a 2.99 ERA. Reagan's bounced back, like you say. Michael Wacha, 3.86 ERA in 172 innings last year. Bubic was their front line guy last year at a 2.55 ERA. And then Lugo. I mean, that's a good 5 starting rotation. They just
really good. They just underperformed as a team.
Yeah. I also just personally, I loved when they traded for Bailey Falter from Pittsburgh. They put him in the bullpen, but he can be a starter. He'll go far. They also, Alex Lang. They got Carlos Estevez, Lucas Erceg. They have a decent bullpen. They need a guy, I think, unless they want to give Estevez the keys full time. Don't think that's a horrible decision, but offense is the only thing going through, and it's just a few pieces here and there because like Maikel Garcia, Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, obviously Salvador Perez, not the guy he used to be, but he's still a decent batter, although that's kind of diminishing. Jack Caglione, they got the talent.
He takes a step. If Jack takes a step, that helps that offensive lot, but their pitching was their strength. The question was their hitting going to be enough. And it wasn't. Like, you look at them, they were middle of the pack as a team average, but then they were below and towards the bottom when it came to run production. And if you're not going to have a ton of run production, you got to do something really well. And they weren't hitting a lot of home runs either. So that obviously goes into the run production side. So if you're a middle of the pack average as a team, you're not driving in runs or hitting home runs, yeah, like that was your biggest Achilles heel. But the Royals, in my mind, they should be the team that wins the AL Central. They should. I think the Tigers should be right there because I like AJ Hinch and I like what they have over there and their staff. The Guardians win despite of what they have. They just know how to win with the guys that they have. But the Royals on a talent basis, I expect to bounce back. Can't trade him, in my opinion, at this moment in time. Is that all for the pitcher, Zach?
No, we still got some.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I mean, that we start getting Edward Cabrera. I mean, a lot of these guys we've talked about. Edward Cabrera.
Edward.
Yeah. Yankees, Orioles, Giants, Astros, Diamondbacks, Padres. He's a guy, and I'll kind of just speed run through these and we can talk about all at once. This is the guy that the only pitcher not fit to the Orioles was Mitch Keller. I don't know if they just left them off. I thought it would just be de facto pitcher available, fits the Orioles, but 10 of the 11 were given to the Orioles. Mitch Keller was not. Cronenworth, Luis Robert, Sandy Alcantara, we've talked about. Brady Singer, actually, funny enough that we just kind of talked about him. That actually is one that makes sense. They just traded him or Jonathan India for him last year. He kind of sticks out as the guy maybe that would be the odd man out because of all of their talent. And then that is the last pitcher. So, very intriguing list, to say the least. I would be shocked if most of them got traded, but I think one of Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan get traded. I don't think Cabrera or Alcantara get traded anymore. We have gone, we're in year 3 of, Sandy's getting traded this offseason or deadline. I've just accepted he's going to be a Marlin. It feels like they are going for it. They like the core. They think that they have something brewing. So I would be pretty shocked if they got traded. It probably lands on one of the Twins pitchers, as a guy that gets moved as like the front end. Hey, this is, them or Peralta, Freddie Peralta. Kind of those 3 are where I'd be like, that's a big time number 2 that can play as a number 1 that's available on the trade market.
Now that you said guaranteed trade, or now that you said he's not going to get traded guaranteed, he's going to get traded.
Probably. And that's just the way it is. And it'll probably be later tonight and it'll be at like 11 p.m. and then we'll hop back on here because that's what always happens.
So Sandy, I'm with you though. Sandy, they've waited so long. He started to get into more round into the form that people saw from years past down the stretch. Like you saw the flash. Yeah. And then Cabrera, that's a team, if they were actually considering getting rid of, that's a guy I'd heavily pursue. I think he's finally scratching the surface of how good he can be. But if I'm the Marlins, I'm in no rush to move those guys. So of that list, the Twins pitchers, you're picking up the phone and calling. Peralta, you're testing the water, but that's a realistic side. And then for Gore, yeah, you're going to call too, but I'm really curious what the Nats' new philosophy is going to be. And this is a part of the trade market side of it. And we're going to see about it, what moves they make or don't make here as we go into 2026. And we'll find out more here at the winter meetings. We'll be down there this next week. We'll be down there. We'll have some reports live talking about all the action, see what's going on. Should be a good time. And in the meantime, though, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We're live at 5. Right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. I see you guys all on each platform, and I appreciate our channel members on YouTube, our Ribs Good Kids and our Ribs Better Kids. Appreciate you guys. If you want to become a member here and get access from behind the scenes, click that join button. Helps us continue to grow. We do our 2 big shows in the studio on Mondays and Thursdays here on the channels as well. We're just kicking it from home because we got so much content and topics to talk about. And I think that's the baseball side of this right now, Zach. That was a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah, definitely a lot, and all of that just for like one of them to get traded.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, like it's Jeff Passan's done a great job. He passing bombs, and it's his job to put out. They got to put out some pieces. You know, I just don't. Some of the percentages, you know,
some of those position players, I think it's a lot better. Just the pitching stuff. Everyone wants pitching. Everyone wants pitching, and if you don't have pitching, you're looking for pitching. And if you have pitching, you're not necessarily, besides the team here and there, looking to move on from it.
No doubt about it. Well, there was a couple topics, I think, just from a sports standpoint that kind of just you sit there, you shake your head, or you're just like you're interested in the conversation. I know we got a lot of baseball people, but we talk a lot of sport, specifically in the football space too. There was a lot of conversations, and I guess there's two parts here, Zach, that we want to touch on here before we get on out. I guess we got a little bit of time, but it's the where do we want to start? We want to start with the reality drama that is Ole Miss football, or is it the fact that everyone in Pittsburgh wants Mike Tomlin gone, and they're just screw Mike Tomlin? And also, like, and then just coaches in general, people going out of their way to do the dumbest things, like egging the offensive coordinator's house for the Eagles, people trying to create or bring up stories or narratives about Mike Tomlin for 20 years. Now, Lane Kiffin, that's a whole different conversation, but dude, it's a fiasco. Like, where do we start with this?
I actually saw, we can start with the Steelers because it's AFC North. I saw a hilarious tweet earlier today where it's like the AFC North is the first division where every team gets booed at home and every fan base at some point wants to move on from their head coach this season. It's just a disaster class. It feels like in every organization right now. I was talking about this. I feel like shit talk is at an all-time low in the AFC North just because everyone's like, we're dealing with our own stuff right now. Like we're hold up, we're dealing with something, but it is definitely, I feel like, more prevalent in Pittsburgh right now because it's just Groundhog Day. The Steelers are the same team every single year for the past 10 years at this point. Get off to this weird hot start. Nobody believes they're that good. People suddenly are like, oh, but they're winning. It doesn't matter if it's pretty, they're winning. Then they go on these streaks and you're like, oh, that was kind of a fluke run that they started on. It's been bad in Pittsburgh. I know it's been bad a lot of places in the AFC North at times this year, but definitely people fed up in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, there's for any sport team, right? The standard that you live by, the standard is you expect to, for these organizations, you expect to win, but you expect to compete for championships. Now, we know across sports, the franchises, we're in Baltimore. The Orioles, for instance, has been a franchise that hasn't competed for a lot of years, and they're not considered a perennial contender. And so that's a different expectation. But now that they're in this window, the expectation is to perform. But you talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin, since he's been there, they've won. But they haven't always been contenders. Since Ben Roethlisberger, and I'd say the mid to end of Ben Roethlisberger, because the tail end, they weren't competing to be contenders, but they were in the mix because they could be in the mix to be a playoff team. And that wasn't good enough. And it's kind of the same thing that's happening in Baltimore is people are going, well, when is being contenders, but contending to be in the Super Bowl, when is that actually going to be back to that type of standard? Yeah. And that's the hard conversation. I mean, hell, the Eagles just won the damn Super Bowl last year. And I saw someone talking that they want to get rid of Jalen Hurts or bench Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts. The Philly fans currently want to move on from Jalen Hurts.
Like, this is the craziest part about sports. And I'm not saying that things can't be justified, but really? they've won, like, really? In that case, but the messaging, though, at least for this Ravens Steelers game, Zach, fascinated to see what happens, because whichever team wins this game, it's going to buy a little bit of grace with their fan base. Whichever team loses, and I think the pressure in this case is more on Baltimore than it is for Pittsburgh. I think people are expecting the Steelers to lose and their narrative to grow stronger. The Ravens, you lose at home to the Steelers team that looked awful. And I mean, they looked like cheeks.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not looking forward to that conversation if that's the case. So we'll see what happens there. We talk about that extensively. We'll talk about it more on Thursday's show as well. Maybe we'll have some Ravens guests that have been involved with the team. The 25th anniversary, by the way, is on this Sunday. Ravens Steelers, of the team winning the first Super Bowl.
If you lose to them on the 25th anniversary game,
would not be fun. Would not be fun. You know what hasn't been fun as well? If you're a fan of Ole Miss football, Zach, that hasn't been fun for you, because yes, you're excited about the playoff, but you're pissed off that your coach that helped build the program went to your rival, which, however you feel about the whole situation, we've already discussed yesterday in detail. It's a flawed system. How it all set up, it's flawed. How it went down is frustrating as hell. But the bigger part is it's frustrating because a team that had a legit chance, you're in the playoff, you have a legit chance.
Yeah.
Your head coach is gone. And they said, you know what, we're going to take our offensive coordinators too. You're getting on this plane. You ain't coming back. Well, apparently that's not true either, Zach.
Yeah, apparently the planes weren't supposed to be round trip, but a certain one was, as the offensive coordinator did in fact get on the plane. But now reports from On3, a statement from LSU coach, it's still funny to read that, LSU coach Lane Kiffin on Charlie Weis coaching Ole Miss during the playoffs, because he will be back. It says, with the playoff committee releasing updated rankings tonight, I wanted it to be known that after conversations with LSU, we are allowing Charlie to return to Ole Miss to coach the team during the playoffs. And I've already made the committee aware of this, and I'm hopeful this decision will allow Ole Miss to receive the highest ranking possible, because these great players are very deserving of that. I'm excited that Charlie will be back to help coach the greatest team in the history of Ole Miss. He literally thinks he's doing them a favor. He's like, don't worry, guys.
This is reality TV.
He's like, I called the committee. I let them know the OC's staying. We're good. Let's let bygones be bygones.
I understand that a head coach and you have to be on the recruiting process. Like, it starts, the transfer portal, it starts. And I'm sure it is nice to be able to start to put in what your offense will be moving forward. Having said that, an extra month of not having at the max here, an extra month of not having your offensive coordinator because he stayed to be with the Ole Miss team, is that going to make or break whether LSU is going to be good next year?
No.
Like this is reality. If you love like the Bravo or whatever, what's the other Bravo and ETV, or entertainment, whatever it is, this is for you. And you know what? It is entertaining. Like, it's sitting here going, like, people were flipping off Lane Kiffin. They blocked off the airport. It was a wild, chaotic scene. I love that it felt like a rivalry. Like, you could feel the hurt and pain. I don't like the fact that they feel hurt and pain, but it does build for good drama if you're into that.
It's built for such good drama that if you want to right now, they have the betting line for next November's LSU Ole Miss game already out, because they know people will somehow bet on that. But here's my biggest question. Does Ole Miss, do the players want him back for this? Like, you got on the plane. Like, there was a very strict, the guys who didn't get on the plane were like, it's like the Wolf of Wall Street. I'm leaving. Like, no, this is where I'm staying. This is what we're building. The defensive coordinator, he gets promoted to not only just interim, they're saying he's permanent. no, this is our guy that's going to lead the program. So now you have that. And now this guy who was just on the plane, he got on the plane with Lane Kiffin. He got out of the car and did the little, like, they almost had like a perp walk because the cars for some reason had to park like 100 yards from the plane. And like, they very much could have parked closer. There were plenty of other cars closer, but they wanted to have the little walkout of like, who's walking out of the car? Charlie Weiss. Now he's back. Like, walking into that meeting today, the offensive meeting, and Charlie Weiss is sitting there. Is this like, I would almost rather, if I'm Ole Miss, like if I'm the players, I'm like, no, give us the guys that wanted to stay. We want to prove you wrong. Now it just feels like, who knows? Maybe they all love Weiss and they're like, oh, this is so great, he's back. Just feel like, is that not like, does Ole Miss want him back?
I mean, it's a good question. I don't even know at this point in time, but what I do know is the competitor in you, at least for me in situations, you always wanted to prove something. Mm-hmm. But I think regardless of if Charlie Weiss came back to coach or not, they are proving something regardless. If they go and win, they're winning in spite of losing their head coach. You know, so I think it's irrelevant for that. But for me, if he gives you the best opportunity for your offense and your team to win, then yeah, I'd want that guy because I just put my blood, sweat, and tears into this. I'm living out the dream of trying to win a national championship. I want then the personnel to be there to help us get to that. And I know that some people might be petty about it and say, screw it, I don't want it. You know what? In 10 years, if he doesn't come back and maybe you thought that was the difference, you're going to be thinking about, well, damn, what if he had come back and we had him at the coach? Would that have made a difference? Yeah. I think it puts the rest, at least on that side. Doesn't make Ole Miss people feel totally better, but I think I'm glad to see him come back. But the reality TV, baby, it continues to roll on and on. And, college football in general is going to be a mess. I can't wait to see this college football ranking because do they lower it because Ole Miss lost Lane Kiffin? Do they keep Texas out because one of their losses was to Ohio State? I still think they didn't play well for a lot of their other games. No. But also, now you're seeing Alabama. They want to challenge themselves earlier moving forward. So they're going to play the likes of Marshall and Chattanooga.
Big game early. Big games
because
early.
Because they want to test their program. Yeah. Right, Zach? So
everyone saw us walk into South Bend and beat Notre Dame, and ever since they knew that iron sharpens iron. Simple as that. Also, I love college football so much because the CEO of Crumble coming out publicly being like, hey, sometimes your number gets called and you gotta get off the sidelines. I'm ready. BYU's head coach was already ready to accept Penn State. They had a meeting set up where he was announcing to the team that he was leaving. All of a sudden, all these donors, he went from $3 million a year at BYU. He was offered, I believe, 10 at Penn State. He's taken that. That is a very nice paycheck. Not only that, the Mormon Church is involved. They're now making it a spiritual thing where his taxes or dividend, he doesn't have to pay as much. It's crazy. College football is unreal this year. Absolutely unreal.
It's entertaining as hell. Again, I feel for the actual fan bases of these teams, but as someone with no skin in the game, you're sitting there being like, hey, it is reality TV. Grab the popcorn. Hey, you can't find a good show on HBO, Netflix, whatever you're watching. There's Hulu, whatever your favorite platform is, because you have about 1,000, which you then will pay some more fees for. But hey, this is free. Go online, and there you go. Just eat some popcorn and enjoy this chaos that's happening here. So time will tell, but that is wild. The Mormon Church has entered the chat. So
it's just crazy.
We will see. We will see how that unfolds at BYU. And, that's just a fun little storyline. Last thing we had on the way out, we all love Red Zone. Red Zone is adding on.
They're doing exactly what they told us. They're doing exactly what we told them they would do. Oh, it's just 4 15-minute commercials. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm more disappointed because I gave them the benefit of the doubt. And I was like, you know what? They're going to expand, but it's going to be next football season. This is going to be a next football season thing. we're what, week 12, week 13? We just had, and we already have Red Zone last Sunday had 16 commercials. That's not the 4 we were told about. So, gosh, it's something, you know.
So I'm probably not the one that gets too outraged by all this, but I do understand of just where the concept went to where it is.
Yeah, it's does this really matter in hindsight, especially because
but
you
it's more
still
of
see football? But the principle.
It's the principle. It's the principle. Hey, you know what? Hey, come here. Time out. Hey, come here.
Oh my God.
It's the principle. This is the new Zoom feature right now, Zach. Hey, come here.
Not much of a Zoom. It's just kind of like.
No, but you got to have it be like, hey, Zach, come here. It is a little bit of a Zoom. It sets that tone. Do you feel the power in that right there? Do you feel that?
You know, it's something.
If you want to try it yourself here, like, hey, give it a try real quickly.
Just,
yeah.
Come here. Ooh.
Yeah, but you got to sell it a little bit more here. You got to be like, yeah.
This is the dumbest thing.
No, hey, you know what? Hey, look, hey, Zach, when you know what? Hey, come closer. Hey, Zach, get here. The thing is, it's not, okay? This is how you get attention, right? You see the chat now, everyone's like, wow, I'm listening now. Or they're like, the guy in the blue and white jacket is a moron, which
keeps trying to zoom in.
Okay, sorry. Kill me for having fun on a Tuesday, okay? We're just having a good time. We're trying to talk some sports. And you know what? StreamYard's giving me too much power.
Way too much.
Some could argue that we need more. You know what? I'm not power hungry.
We need less. I agreed before. Now we need less.
It's all, you know what it is? Marketing. No, you know what? Hey, Brooks, the comments. No. Hey, hey, Brooks, time out. You have a problem with that? Come here. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. It's Tuesday night, and I feel all right. The party's here on the west side.
Party's here on the west side.
I don't know if you know that one, Zach.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
You want to say what it is?
No, I don't know the actual, I couldn't give you a name, but I've definitely heard parties here on the west side. I know.
Oh, that's tough. You do not just, you can't be like, yeah, I know it, and then not actually know it.
I didn't say I've heard that line. I've heard that line before. I've heard that line. That's what I'm saying.
I'm kind of buzzed, and it's all because. Oh my gosh.
This is how we do it.
Why was this so hard? Time out. This is going to make me mad. Come here. How did you not know this?
We've reached.
Hey, Zach.
How many?
Yeah, we're back.
How many shirts do you have? You have a jacket, a quarter zip, and a shirt on.
It's a little cold right now, Zach. You know what? I might have to turn the heat on here. We're just having some fun. It is Montel Jordan. There we go. Cora, thank you. And hey, we appreciate all of you guys, by the way. We like to have fun here. We talk a lot of sports, but we also like to just relax a little bit here. And you know what? I do a lot more of off the cuff, the goofiness on the Rip After Dark. And we did have one rocking the other day, so I can bring that back. We can do that. Zach, hold on for a second. Let me get some stretches. But I have one more thing I got to say before we get out of here. Come here. So we're going to be live tomorrow. We're working on a couple good guests for you, not for Zach, definitely not for Rocco or Brad, for you all. Yep. But if you guys don't mind, hit that like and subscribe button. And we're going to put this out on Spotify and Apple, wherever you get your podcast. And let us know what you want us to talk about more moving forward. If it's the goofy stuff, if it's not the goofy stuff, if it's fun, or you want us to be serious. I can be serious too, You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. You know,
Why are you smiling?
just
We're getting serious. Hey,
this is just that we've gone
Hey.
off the rails. We've gone
stop.
off.
Hey, come here. No, get back here, Zach. You get back.
You see that?
Time
See
out.
that? I'm too fast.
Come here. You do that again, we're gonna have problems. Okay.
You just
Because I don't want no scrubs. Okay.
Yeah,
Can't be creeping off the screen like that. Okay. Can't do that.
Thank you, everyone, for
people can't go flying through the air right there. It was kind of smooth. We're not going to admit that to Zach. Okay. I had one thing that I wanted to talk about. Okay. How about this? We're going to get on out of here. Can you hear the music?
Also, real fast, happy birthday to my father. So happy birthday.
Oh, music playing?
Yeah, music's playing.
Well, happy birthday to Papa Bolly. We appreciate each and every one of you. Have a day, have a night, have a great stinking rest of your Tuesday and stop driving. We'll be back to do this and go off the rails on the next episode of the Ryan Ripken Show. And one more time, hey, Zach.